What's up, YouTube? First and foremost, safe. But today, brought you. It's a crazy one. This is a crazy hybrid pistol. So what I mean by hybrid is the Dan Wesson DWX. They combine 1911 ergonomics and CZ ergonomics. So the CZ 75 pattern, lower half with a 1911 upper half. So the heart of it, the internals, things like that, very 2011, 1911-esque. And then the frame and grip, very CZ. It even shares mags with a CZ. So very interesting gun. Let's go over it tip to butt and see if we can't kind of digest what this thing actually is trying to be, if they found a nice sweet spot, or, you know, maybe is it just a weird, hot, interesting mess? I don't know. Let's find out. So barrel, first and foremost, you do have a crazy barrel on this thing. Super big crowning, super thick on the very front end, helps for return to zero. When you're shooting high strings of fire, it keeps the gun super flat. These are notoriously flat shooting guns. Guys in the competition space definitely hail it for that. Has a really thin slide, and what I mean by that is it's not as tall as most 1911s, and that gives you these very repeatable and very accurate shots. So phenomenal barrel there, and very useful when competing or just, you know, enjoying the gun in general, range toy type of thing. It is a super fun flat gun to shoot. It does have cuts in the slide on the top for anti-glare, which is actually really nice. When you are shooting black guns in the sun, you do get a lot of that sun flare, and it's nice that they added that. It's just a small feature that actually really helps when it comes down to competition. So love that they added that. Really good relief cuts on the slide. Great grip, not too aggressive, kind of middle of the road, but they're nice and deep, and even when you're sweating, it is very easy to rack the slide. It does have them on the rear as well, but no one really uses that, so aesthetically, it's nice to look at. It does come with a RMR plate. They used to not have plates, so you used to get these and have to send them off and wait forever and hope that they cut the slide for what, you know, you hoped for. Glad they fixed that. Dan Wesson now offers different plates. You can basically put whatever optic you feel like now. So that is awesome. And it actually, for being a plate system, is surprisingly low. The cut, I will say, many plate systems, you don't enjoy how high the dot is over the bore, the height over bore. And they did a surprisingly good job, and it's a very robust and stout plate. So you don't feel at any type of wiggle or play there. And I have not heard of anyone else having issues with it either. So definitely a good plate system if you are gonna have to go plate system. Obviously, we would prefer not to have to deal with plates anymore, but you know, it is what it is. Beaver tail is really nice and deep. Really gives you a high purchase. Switching over from a CZ to a 2011, a lot of people find that to be a really aggressive and drastic change. They almost say like it's like holding a beer can. It's like very thick and cumbersome, and they don't like it. So keeping the CZ ergonomics on the lower half, people really are big fans of, because that's one of CZ's claim to fame, is their ergonomics and their grips. This actually does have the brass lock grips in black on it, and that adds more weight. This is coming right around like almost 50 ounces now, so super heavy gun, which does give you a crazy amount of repeatability when you're shooting, and it makes the gun very balanced. So without the lock grips, the gun does feel a bit front heavy, which is why it's such a common upgrade people do to these. The standard grips it comes with are nice, aggressive. They're just pretty light, so people notice that it has a little bit front heaviness under recoil, and can tend to dip in your shots. And there's nothing wrong with that if you can get used to it and that's what you like. It's sort of personal preference, but a lot of people do prefer throwing on the lock grips, and then they get just a bit more weight on the bottom lower half, so they don't get as much dip under recoil. So keep that in mind if you are thinking of getting one of these. I would definitely recommend the lock grips. I'm a huge fan, but again, personal preference does come down to that. So moving on to the trigger guard, you got a nice squared off trigger guard, but it has a nice rounding to it. So it's sort of a hybrid. It's not a rounded, it's not a perfectly square, but I prefer that. And it even has some checkering on it. And it's very nice because it doesn't dig into your support hand finger nearly as bad as most of those really squared off trigger guards. So I really like what they did with the trigger guard there as far as the actual machining. So really, really good attention to detail there. Full dust cover, which does add to the weight, which is nice. So again, keeping that front of the muzzle real heavy. Same with that crowned barrel. All of that adds up to that front heaviness, being a good thing though when you're running sequences of fire, because each shot is very repeatable, and that weight kind of, as the gun reciprocates, just snaps the dot right back into the window. So very important for competition style guns like this. Now, they're the creme de la creme, and why most people would pick this over a Shadow 2, the trigger. So that is the take up. And that's the break. So let me give you guys that one more time. That is the glassiness, the candy cane snapping 2011 break that you're looking for. That is the biggest reason to switch to something like this from the CZ that have those rounded, curved, single action, double action triggers. Obviously in single action, they're very nice and crisp, and still short, but nothing is compared to a 2011. So that is the biggest ergonomic change that you're going to experience switching to something like this instead of going to a full 2011. You sort of get the best of both worlds, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, I think they really knocked it out of the park with this. Competition wise, if you are someone that has that feeling when you go to a 1911 or a 2011 and it feels like you are holding a beer can, you don't love the grip angle, you don't love how thick it feels. Pause. The ergonomics, so they took all the best ergonomics of the CZ and then all of the reliability and the upper half of the 2011. In my opinion, I think they did take all of the best features of both and made an awesome amalgamation of a gun. I'm really happy to see crazy innovations in the space like this. So thank you so much, Dan Wesson. It is a gorgeous gun too, first and foremost. I mean, personally, this, I think aesthetically is just a beautiful, beautiful gun. It reminds me of something Batman would carry, in my opinion. And I do know a couple guys that carry these. You know, maybe I would assume you have to be damn near Popeye to carry something this heavy, 50-ounce crazy gun. But they do like it, and they do make a carry version of this or just a shorter version of this. So if you are someone that wants to carry the same gun as your competition gun, which I personally think is really smart because you get all your training translates over really well to your carry gun, this is a great option because you can get this, you can get the commander length, and then you've got best of both worlds. If you were to carry the full size though, you would probably have to have on some sort of big ass steel chastity belt or some shit to tie it to. But hey, if you could do it, you know, a winter carry, I could see this. Now we're talking. Or a duty carry, you know, it doesn't have, you know, a trigger safety, but you got the slide safety. For a lot of guys, that's enough. You know, that's kind of personal preference on where you fall for that. And like one thing I wanted to touch on too, with the mags. So that does come with Dan Wesson mags, but if you are a guy that you already have a bunch of CZ mags, the SP09, SP10F, I want to say the name is. CZ's got, you guys got some crazy names, bro. You can have all your mags work with this. That is a huge selling factor for people that want to switch but are not scared, but don't want to have to go buy a million more mags or be stuck in another proprietary mag system. So one other big selling point and feature to note on this. And yeah, enough of me yapping. Let's go shoot this fucking thing because that's what it was built for. All right, so competition pistol deserves a competition setup and a competition style practice. So for those of my competition guys out there, you guys probably familiar with this, but it's just, I think the name of it's called triple double, but you're just working on splits. So you just want double, 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 double. Gonna try and go for all A zone, but it's a fun little drill and it's really good for practicing target transition as well as practicing your splits. And I forgot my legit timer at home, so crucify me in the comments if you feel like it. Phone timer ready. I accidentally pushed up the slide safety on that middle shot, so just got to get used to that. All right, Lego. So there's a good example for you guys of how well this thing transitions and how nice and flat and smooth it shoots. It definitely helps you, excuse me, the gun definitely helps you out it can make up for a lot of your own inconsistencies, especially with that amount of weight in the front with that crown barrel like that. It helps the return to zero, even if you do get a poor grip out of the holster. I will say it's important to make sure you're dry firing and practicing, because if you're not building a good grip, longer the course of fire, the worse it's going to be for you. But the gun does help you out a lot. So definitely, I kind of want to run this one more time. If you could get directly on my side, that'd be perfect. And just kind of show how flat this thing is running here. So there you go. All right, y'all know what time it is now. Bill drill, 7 yards, and let's bring this with us. All right. Let's see, what was that? 267, so we can definitely speed that up. Damn, that is fun. Let's see, what was that? That was a 2-1. All right. I know we can get a sub 1 here. Ah! Let's see, we only got 2 shots. All right, YouTube magic. We're gonna load a mag. All right. DWX, man, thank you guys. You built a dope ass gun, and I couldn't be happier. I think for those of you out there considering something like this, I would not cut it short. It is a hell of a gun for a really good price, actually. In my eyes, it definitely fights with the Staccato P level for probably $1,000 less. Fit and finish is really nice. You know, overall, it's a hell of a gun. I would not take it off of your list. If it's in your top 3 of what you're looking for competition wise and you like the Shadow 2 stuff, I would go take this and a Shadow 2 to the range and really see what fits for you and what clicks for you, because it is going to come down to some finer details for you. But in my eyes, honestly, I prefer this to the Shadow 2. So honestly, awesome. Even though CZs are dope, I love the amount of ergonomics here, and the 1911 platform combination is, perfect, creme de la creme. Catch y'all on the next one.